I saw you upgraded Val's corrosion resistance, immunity to shock, plasma reloading. That's why I hate automechs. They're so high maintenance.
Another refugee? All right, step forward. Just a moment. Allowing anyone into Matriarch's Mercy unprocessed will upset the precarious ratio of refugees to aid. We should have an opportunity for placement in approximately 7.85 days, presuming no unforeseen alterations. I seem to recollect one matching your description set for arrival. Pardon my slowing your ingress. It has been rather hectic of late. Welcome to Matriarch's Mercy. Rule number 1, no crowding. Rule number 2, avoid the exclusion zone. Our seer has predicted non-specific imminent danger. I thought the name was self-explanatory. Our seer predicted that a corner of the encampment is in terrible danger. Danger from what? Or when? Unclear. Stay away from it, and, in all probability, you won't have to find out. Not at present, but according to our predictions, the creation of a third rule is likely, if not inevitable. Our predictions spring from the universal equation, the very numbers that guide the stars. Only a fool ignores probability, and we don't suffer fools around these parts. Safety and probability are incompatible. Eventually, nowhere will be safe, including here. That's enough questions. Keep the line moving. You need anything, talk to Seer Wiley. He's in the lift building, straight through the settlement.
I remember this place before the war. Functioning tramiculars. Peaceful silence of the canyons.
I can't recall the last time this region was silent.
I swear, it's nigh on impossible to find decent animal remains in these parts.
Oh, try not to get too close. My sinuses are stuffed up, my ears are backed up, and my guts are gurgling. I could burst at any moment. Every fluid from every orifice. So keep your distance. Oh, you want me to keep sickness to myself? Is that it? Well, I refuse to give in to shame and fear. I've gotten sick at least a dozen times since we set up camp. Why, last week alone, I caught hack lung, sprat tongue, skinny teeth, and a rare case of mortified skull emergence. Figured I might as well get used to being sick. So I'm practicing for my next disease. It's gonna be a nasty one. I think it's downright awful what's happened to these fine folks. But me especially. Sickness, malnutrition, spontaneous genetic disorders, it never ends. You too. Trust me, you don't want to catch this. Neither do I, for that matter.
can't say I'm thrilled about aiding an arbiter, especially considering he ain't been forthcoming about his motives. Hope it don't come back to bite us. Anyhow, was there something you needed, Commander?
How long are we meant to stay here?
Ask the Order. I'm not in the prediction business.
Broke my nose last scrap.
Or, I guess Raleigh Dortmunder did, huh?
I still don't get any of this. I banged him up real good for you, didn't I? I won you one, right? Matters settled.
The void you did. Barely connected. You're thinking of 2-3 scraps ago. You've been mostly unconscious a while now. Okay, no need to get sore or nothing. I don't think it works like that, but I ain't gotta be right. I don't get paid to, speculate. You ought to talk to Boss Tilda. She's the brains in this... What does she call it? Oh, yeah. Quasi-illicit shenanigan.
Doesn't like to look at us when we're all banged up. Said my face turned her off Borscht loaf.
Anyhow, head down the hill along the fence. Tell her Mapother and Mudge sent you. Oh, my noggin sure is sore.
Keep your lamps lit. Wherever there's trouble, there's always opportunists willing to profit from it.
Commander, you got a minute to talk? I got some thoughts on this situation with the refugees. The number of folks seeking refuge from the war is, well, it's beyond what I expected. And beyond what the Order is capable of handling, seems like. Andes may not be faring much better here, but we could at least find enough work for these folk to buy some food. I mean, we ain't gonna give up our cots for what could be the enemy. We're doing what we gotta do to keep our heads on our shoulders. It's a tough situation, that's all I'm saying. But if the Order can't even manage tens of folk at their doorstep, they ain't gonna manage much better should they win the war. I make a point of not leaving those slow on the uptake behind. I went through this myself when Andy's Choice took over Tau Ceti. It took time to secure the merger, but once they did, we folk got the help we needed real quick. And all they wanted in return was the signing of an employment contract. Now, I ain't seeing any contracts in Matriarch's mercy. So what is the Order actually gaining by doing this? In all my years, I ain't encountered many folk who would extend a hand and expect nothing in return. I mean, I'd not have asked for your help with my graft if I didn't have something to offer in exchange. Well, maybe I misjudged the Earth Directorate after all. Anyhow, if the Order is in fact helping these folk with no hidden aims, then, well, I'll be the first to admit that there might just be merit in what they're selling. Appreciate you hearing me out.
Whatever you're selling, I am not in the black market for it.
You got business? No? Move on. You the fixer lent your aid to Agent Galloway? Don't suppose you got that crawling hibiscus she promised to sneak me, huh? Forget it. You can come in.
Hello, hello. You're the one that aided us in availing Sub Rosa of a rather large shipment of Spectrum vodka, yes? Agent Galloway is slightly less trustful than most feral canids, so winning her over speaks volumes of your character. Consequently, I'm pleased to present you purchase access to my fine wares. It's fortunate you're no stranger to contraband. It's superb cover and a consistent market. Refugees are in need of all sorts of supplies that the Order cannot provide, and Sub Rosa delivers, at only a reasonable markup. Myself, I enjoy the thrills of the environ. Will the Order attempt to drive me out? Will Matriarch's mercy be shelled? Shall I run out of new cereals? Oh, thrilling! Why, I thank you. Takes a unique sort to appreciate the finer points of illegal smuggling. We stand that we'd like to make a good ton of bits on the war, and maybe expand our reach in the process. Beyond that, I'm not supposed to comment. But Sub Rosa consists primarily of ex-Anti's Choice and ex-Protectorate personnel. We've still got folks we care about out there. Complicates some of our feelings on the fighting. But if the fighting stops, our income begins to go dry. Feast thine eyes on the merchandise!
Don't do anything foolish.
Greetings. What can I help you with? Let me guess. One of your co-occupants is always hanging up his or her britches in your corner of the yurt. Am I right? Or you're dealing with more of a stay off my palate or that's my air you're breathing sort of thing. Pray elucidate the exact nature of your tiff of contention.
Look, I lived alone for 10 years. Got used to things being a certain way. I'll be better at closing the fresher door.
Oh, I get it. Right. Well, I can generalize in a way where they likely won't follow. Here, in Matriarch's Mercy, if you're not a member of the Order, you're probably living close to somebody else. In some cases, sleeping on top of them. Sort of thing tends to cause friction between neighbors. Would lead to fights, but nobody here wants trouble with the Order. So they hire our hooligans to battle by proxy. Half the time, people shy away at the first sight of blood. The other, that's what they're there for. We say whoever wins the fight wins the argument. But frankly, it's never anything of consequence, like, okay, hurrah! This guy gets back his mangy button. Now, how can I help you exactly? Ugh, a tourist. Well, clear out then, huh? Can't have you scaring off real customers. I got a bunch of yeggs, 2 pugilized pugilists, and a sick canid to feed. Don't make me call Mapother and Mudge over. They don't like no fighting for free.
No.
Look, your nose was just a stand-in for Duarte's nose.
Don't feel like no stand-in. Ow!
Oh, my alien head.
The meaning of life is numeric, and we are the keepers of the equation. Apologies, outsider. As a vicar, I am usually tasked with guiding non-order lay people, such as yourself. Lately, the abbot has tasked me with the education of the refugees in our care. You are, of course, free to stay to be enlightened by my lecture, but I don't need an abacus to predict your path lies elsewhere. Well, If it's in the displaced's best interests, I imagine I can find a moment. Yes, I reckon I do have my ear to the grimy dirt floor of Matriarch's Mercy. I hear what common lay people are saying, and the wide array of bodily noises they make. Suppose I, more than any other member of the Order here, connect with non-scienticians. I've begun daily lectures, including practical advice on efficiently planning their days. I frequently launch into extended orations on everyone's favorite topic, math, and meticulously expatiate on our sex origins in the most rigorously pedantic detail. As I'm sure you've read in recent dissertations doing the rounds, education has proven to have a 13.7% increase in overall quality of life. I am single-handedly making a difference here, with constructive pointers on efficient scheduling, lessons on order history, plus some mathematics for a little added razzle-dazzle. Never as many as I would like, perhaps, but my little congregation grows by the hour. Eventually, my unsophisticated layperson friend, the knowledge just seeps right in. Give it a few years and they'll even be asking questions.
Shame what happened there. I seen the whole thing. Watch yourself if you intend to nose around that collapsed ramshackle. I swear, refugee settlements aren't what they used to be. Yes, technically a hut is meant to be only one story, because when you stack them, they tend to fall over. Happens a lot. People here need more room to breathe. Can't build in the walkways, can't set up in the exclusion zone, so they build up. Best they can, at least. Don't have proper building material or nothing. They just make do. After a while, the stacked up little huts they jury-rigged come tumbling down. Oh, you put that together, did you? Here, I thought I was being subtle. Yeah, people keep at it. What else choice they have? Order won't listen. Maybe if we interspersed our requests with numbers, they'd pay attention. Seems like all they care about sometimes. They're doing something, which is better than nothing, but not by much.
And hostility within Matriarch's Mercy will be met with swift and equivalent action. Some useful guidance for those newly residing in Matriarch's Mercy.
Keep your behavior within acceptable
Do you
parameters.
believe Arcadia shall ever return to how it was?
I wish. Between the invaders and the Order defecting, there's no putting this sprat back into the can.
Cloister is looking pretty good right about now.
A wasteland devoid of life? No, Arcadia is doomed. Plain and simple.
Thus, if we compare the rates of dust accumulation inside the settlement to outside, we gain minute insight into the grand plan. And then we solve for the... apologies. Just catching up on a research assignment between queries. Yes? Did you need something? Typically, no. And it has been somewhat challenging focusing my concentration. The abbot felt a scientician operating in a conspicuous spot in the thoroughfare might be useful. An illustrative way for our guests to see how we operate. To show how the crabble patties are made, as it were. That is, if the meat preparation involved a 90-step rate formula and a conflux of polynomial equations. I am also on hand to answer queries by providing data supporting our actions. Though perhaps due to my central location, 89.74% of the time, I am simply asked for directions. I am sure they bear any inconveniences with grace and dignity. I mean, the statistical jump correlated to residents within Matriarch's Mercy has some pretty compelling numbers. According to data, life inside shows a notable uptick in key relevant quality of life factors. Longevity, access to medicine, potable water. Life outside sees increased risk of starvation, inclement weather, and hostile xenofauna. Yes, indeed. Numbers are really against you out there. By quite a healthy statistical margin, yes. We nurture the body while we minister to the mind. We organize, we adapt. We have diverted internal resources to better meet demand in key areas. And I'm pleased to say that's led to a statistically significant 2.7% increase in refugee satisfaction. But if my data remains unconvincing, I suggest you inquire with Provisioner Plotnik inside the lift building. Simply tell her Archivist Widmark approves brief use of her time. Then back to it I shall get.
My soup is nutritionally calculated to sustain all bodily functions, but it could use a little salt.
Reminds me of Tau Ceti right after the merger. Had to wait for my number to be called just to get rations and a cot. Hope these folk don't have to wait as long.
Welcome! Have you come to bask in the Order's knowledge? Friends, neighbors, while you shelter in Matriarch's Mercy, heed the teachings of the Order.
Where do we go now? Another refugee camp? Another colony?
I predict, with an 8.23 margin of error, that our situation will improve.
We're not going anywhere!
Stop it with the predictions.
Not on the
You
basis
don't even know
of some
what
half-baked prediction. This so-called
cheer you up.
exclusion zone is where we stake our claim. Stand with me in defense of freedom!
Try not to deviate from the norm.
Except for the fact that you ain't yelling and trying to eat me. I'd have pegged you as some sort of prosperous scrapper by the rough look you got about you. You do got a certain feral look in your eye, though. Okay. I give up. Tell me. Cheers to that, friend. When war looms its ugly head, adaptation is key. May Huffstutler, formerly Auntie's Choice, Department of Invasive Marketing. Now, the voice of the displaced. That's what those in the Order call me, leastways. An unofficial sobriquet, likely meant as a petulant slight. On account I object. Louder. More often than the rest. Those of us ended up here have very little except needs. I turn those into demands for reasons of clarity and import. I was once considered quite the up-and-comer in the Department of Invasive Marketing. looked down on all the bottom rungers and have-nots. Then I came here and became one. Happy as I am to make your acquaintance, I'm busy staking our claim over the exclusion zone, so if you'll excuse me. The exclusion zone. The Order has decided to keep us out thanks to some nebulous prediction of disaster. Screw their predictions. We have people, displaced by war and disaster, in sore need of space. There's plenty of room to house them. Chance of life-threatening peril from a yet-to-be-determined catastrophe were the administrant's words. Not what I would call specific. I honestly don't give the slightest whit about the Order's idea of math or whatever calculation tells them that a catastrophe may or may not occur. I couldn't get anywhere with Administrant Agarwal, but you, maybe you'll have better luck. Even the Order, for all of their logical ways, value an outside perspective. And because I've run out of options. Thanks, stranger. Maybe fate's on our side for a change. You can find Agarwal in the lift building, probably formulating another equation to get on my nerves.
Oh, a visitor. Without notice. Hello. You weren't mentioned in my latest personalized order projection. I mean, prediction. Granted, I mostly skim the parts what don't cover probabilistic dangers, so perhaps you were alluded to in some, roundabout fashion. Suppose that means you're not a threat. So that's good, right? Yeah, I reckon that's good. First time I got a POP, it was on a lark. It said, Rolo Nast, our seer has predicted you must wear a helmet today. I borrowed one, as a laugh. Everybody ribbed me about it. Just after lunch, wind picked up on the cliff above and dropped a mock apple 152 meters straight down onto my head. Fortunately, I still had that brain case on. Sure, but I've had 9 POPs so far, and at least 3 times something similar happened. Avoided drowning in a culvert, sidestepped my mantisaur allergy. Forget the other. Things like that just illustrate the fragile nature of human existence, especially here in Golden Ridge. My co-occupant Ike had a POP done, had told him avoid liquids for 48 hours. He ignored it. Later got drunk, passed out, drowned face first in a puddle of water. You did catch the part I said they saved my life, right? I think alive is a notable improvement on dead. That's something you can take to the bank, Figuratively speaking. I don't know why the other displaced have been so slow to take to them. But I'm not complaining too loud. Waited for my latest POPs long enough already.
1,068.5 pardons, but my attention is presently 99.81% occupied, coordinating provisions and supplies for the displaced. I have 0 allotted time for random queries, at present or in the foreseeable future. But very well. As the assigned provisioner, I am responsible for coordinating the requisition and distribution of comestibles, medicinals, and miscellaneous vital supplies. The overwhelming majority of my time is dedicated to this, leaving only moments to see to the Order's needs in the settlement. But it is an effort I undertake with great relish. You may not have noticed, but the refugees do not want for food or medicine. The Order of the Ascendant is dedicated to the ascension of humanity. Our ultimate goal may not be reached in our lifetime. If I can help others in need today, I shall do so to the utmost extent of my abilities and resources. With the great disruption that has occurred to their lives, one could hardly blame them. That they are fed and remain healthy is sufficient for me. Appreciate you respecting my time. My time is yours. You may peruse to your heart's content, but do so speedily for my sake.
What is it? I have 15 seconds of allotted time for non-specific discourse, so choose your words with expediency. Oh, don't tell me. You're here on behalf of the voice of the displaced, aren't you? Mathematical predictions always keep us one step ahead. My latest augury noted that a stranger would come bearing an inconvenient message. This is about the exclusion zone, correct? I keep forgetting you're a newcomer and unfamiliar to these parts. The exclusion zone is a mere corner of Matriarch's mercy, and rightfully off-limits. You see, the seer predicted that a calamity would befall the exclusion zone, warning that the barrier must not be crossed. But the ever-disruptive voice of the displaced is dead set on occupying the exclusion zone anyway, laughing in the face of certain peril. We don't know, and therein lies the frustration. The seer has augured death for anyone who enters the exclusion zone. Yes, you heard me right. Death. Furthermore, and I quote, "An outside mediator, having earned the confidence of both sides, has a high likelihood of clearing up an ongoing dispute." And now the voice has involved you. How auspicious. Perhaps you are the outside mediator who was foretold. I believe only in the cold, inconvenient mathematics of the cosmos. This will work. It must work. The first step is to familiarize yourself with every angle of the dispute. Talk to the people of Matriarch's mercy. The displaced want the exclusion zone. We want it kept off limits. We can't both be right. With your seasoned perspective, perhaps the voice of the displaced will learn to listen. Any questions before you get started? A novice seer vicarage should have ample time to illuminate you on the Order's forecast modeling methods. He's just down the room from here. I can tell you she's a rabble-rouser of the highest order. Still, she cleaves to her principles. That's something. You can find her outside, among her people, stubbornly defying an order barricade. But you already knew that. Many people around camp support or object to our methods. Speak to them, form your own opinion, and when you are ready, we will decide the fate of the exclusion zone. Scienticians around the settlement inform me you've made some inquiries. Good, good. Continue poking around further, though. You must earn both sides' trust, you know. Have you spoken to all representatives of the Order? All of the displaced? The Doctor? The questionable types from Sub Rosa? Investigated the containers? If not, do. Well then, if you need me in the meantime, I'll be here, up to my ocular organs and requests. Besides what I've already told you, to put it gently, disorganized, which is irregular for a group that prides itself on mathematical acumen. But with effort, patience, and collaboration, I am confident that Matriarch's Mercy will soon be a haven for the displaced. Good. Check in with me once you've made significant progress. As with probability, there is an art to mediation, and it requires a well-rounded perspective.
By the law, it's you. Oh, thank the architect you're finally here. I've scarcely breathed while hoping you'd come. I am in desperate need of your help. True, but the Order's predictions know you better than you know yourself. You see, the Seers are members of the Order who labor over the universal equation. Even in its unfinished state, the equation gives them the means to predict the future. Recently, I had a rare opportunity to ask the Seer for guidance. He told me that a dashing outsider would answer my prayers. I feared the prediction was a fluke, but here you are. A dashing outsider standing before me. Oh, I'm sure the math would agree. The intersection of variables, probability, and healthcare are truly a numeric labyrinth. Nevertheless, whatever you choose to believe or disbelieve, here we are. As a doctor, I'm appalled. We don't have enough beds or private quarters to separate people, so sickness is blazing an unhappy trail through the refugees. Of course, the Order keeps us well supplied with meds, but things will get worse as long as we're overcrowded. Yes, I can treat sickness as it arises. It would be leagues better to prevent it entirely. That means space to spread out. Since you asked, you can run this medicine to Horst Lambing. Just don't shake the man's hand. He has a habit of coughing into his palm when he covers it at all. You see, the Seers are members of the Order who labor over the universal equation. Even in its unfinished state, the equation gives them the means to predict the future. Recently, I had a rare opportunity to ask the Seer for guidance. He told me that a dashing outsider would answer my prayers. I feared the prediction was a fluke, but here you are, a dashing outsider standing before me. Where to begin? There are so many sick and wounded in Matriarch's Mercy, and I have but 2 imperfect hands. I am but a humble general practitioner. What I really need are specialists, and the Seer predicted an outsider would find them.
Might time to patch up 1 or 2 patients before we head out? I used to be a combat medic. A good one, too.
You also strike me as someone on the go. I need committed medical employees, not a freelancer. The Seer gave me a datapad with explicit instructions that I not read it, for my intervention could only throw probability into disarray. Now, take the datapad, with my thanks. How can I be of service?
Since you aren't a refugee, I hope you understand that I cannot offer my goods free of charge, but my prices are fair.
You're right. The universe does not orient itself toward fairness. But it's my firm belief humanity can do better.
All evidence to the contrary.
Stay tuned for what follows.
Ah! I pleasantly anticipated this exact moment. My personalized order prediction and weekly prognostics report both mentioned encountering an unforeseen factor about now. I suppose that designation doesn't wholly apply to you, though, does it? Predicting future events is an imprecise science. Currently, that is. Well, then. I read that you'd have questions about our predictive methods, correct? Matriarch's mercy is brimming beyond capacity with those cast out by war. But we of the Order rise to every challenge and continually strive to better our guests' existence. Why, I, for instance, have availed my predictive methods to our refugee neighbors in the area. There's nothing more practical than improving lives now, is there? We've offered the displaced access to our weekly prognostics reports and personalized order predictions. Engagement is admittedly rather low, but at least one member of the camp reports he has benefited from them greatly. I believe my services will be increasingly sought after the more of the displaced learn of our methods. Vicar Orendi, for instance, is assiduously occupied with such efforts. One of our recent guests, Rollo Nast, has received multiple personalized order predictions. I believe he could speak to the effectiveness of our ways firsthand. If my own humble assertions are not enough, I trust his attestations would convince you, and perhaps other members of the displaced as well. True, my situation does lack a certain refinement. Regrettably, this is Matriarch's mercy. We all must do the best we can with limited means. We utilize a mix of proprietary research methods to gather as complete a data set as possible, and advanced calculations using well-honed models to effectuate it. None of us predict events with complete accuracy or absolute detail. We'd need to solve the universal equation to do that. Fortunately, we're all working very hard on that problem. The Department of Predictive Analysis provide weekly prognostics reports and personalized order predictions to help steer our followers' paths. More what to watch out for, advisement on adhering to the plan, forecasts of probabilistic dangers, elements of larger predictions made relevant to groups and individuals. The Department of Predictive Analysis is mainly populated by seers like myself, who represent the Order's most talented mathematicians. After years of study, some can predict events a few seconds or minutes into the future with reasonable precision. Others can estimate with up to 71.1% accuracy several months out. Of course, predictions have grown more difficult with the loss of the archive, but I am not to speak of that with an outsider. No offense. Unforeseen factors, random elements, anomalous outliers, incalculable variables, all of them can undercut the accuracy of our predictions. But as we close in on solving the universal equation, unknown unknowns will become known unknowns. Then finally, known knowns. You follow? I foresee you have much to do. I won't keep you. Adieu.
You have a very non-scholarly look about you.
Have an intellectually stimulating day.
Ah, you must be the, Earth Directorate agent I was told to expect. Your punctuality is commendable. Allow me to welcome you to Golden Reach. I'm afraid I've no refreshments available, but can I interest you in a customary debate over decidability? Logic, primarily. The study of correct reasoning, sequence, consequence relation. Ah, but I see by the glaze in your eyes that's of no interest to you, so let's move on, shall we? The presiding bishop sent word of your imminent arrival. However, pursuant to our normal standards of compartmentalization, she was scant on the details of your mission. That said, I've been instructed to assist you however I can. So, tell me, what brings you to Golden Reach?
And leave Abbot Newell to be subjected to the inanity of a total stranger? Absolutely not.
Don't trouble yourself about Seer Wiley. He's here as my aide. I trust him implicitly. Now, you were saying? Victor? Yes, Archivist Clemens. Quite the mind. Such encyclopedic knowledge of engineering. One could almost mistake him for an exemplar. Is he in some kind of trouble?
Victor Clemens, some kind of radical. What an absurd notion.
I must agree with my seer. I once watched Victor shed copious tears over a damaged datapad. It's difficult to imagine him capable of worse. And that may well be true. But our standard of proof within the Order is not normally met by hearsay alone. Victor's currently supervising highly experimental research at one of our labs to the northwest, the N-Ray range, beyond the invaders' front lines. Unfortunately, you'll need to go through the decommissioned autonomous extractorium to reach it. That path is less than safe, so I advise caution.
What business is it of yours?
Let's not be unfriendly. The agent's only curious. Obviously, Victor's work has something to do with N-rays, but beyond that, I haven't a clue. More of that pesky compartmentalization, I'm afraid. Besides the highly caustic Serenium River and the Mantisaurs, we've also received reports of mad cultists in the area. It does make me wonder why Victor decided to stay. Rift worshippers spouting inane theories. They began showing up prior to the invasion. The first sign of dysfunction in the Protectorate always starts small, doesn't it? Loath as I am to admit it, there may be some merit to your worries over a conspiracy within the Order, whether Victor is involved or not. As my predecessor would remind me, denying unpleasant facts is not good science. I would be remiss if I failed to support an investigation. It is apparent to me now that the presiding bishop, in her unfailing calculations, sent you here so that we may be of assistance to one another. No doubt you heard of the recent attack launched on that Auntie's Choice base, Outpost Opportunity. It came from one of our facilities, the Zeranium Manufactory. But that facility is intended for research, not military action. I hate thinking an Order member responsible, but given the precision of the attack, it does suggest traitors in our midst. It would undoubtedly benefit both of us to root them out.
Respectfully, Scholar, given current tensions, should we really be trusting such a delicate task to this stranger? Would an internal review of our ranks not be more appropriate? Choosing levity at a moment like this is only further evidence of your lack of good judgment.
I don't dispute the need for discretion, my friend, but the presiding bishop made the determination to send the agent to us. It's best we trust her calculations. Moreover, our situation is growing increasingly dire. I can't overstate my fears concerning this most recent attack ending the ceasefire and reigniting the war in Golden Ridge. One more thing. Your investigation into the traitors takes precedence, but if you could also render aid at Outpost Opportunity on our behalf, such a gesture might preserve the peace. Most assuredly not. It would eliminate the entire point of the ceasefire. Please convey that fact to whomever you speak with. Before you dash off, here, take this writ of investigative inquiry. It'll grant you access to the manufactory should you decide to look into matters there. Seer Wiley and I will conduct our own inquest into these traitors you've mentioned erstwhile. We can compare notes if you return with any new findings.
Please, not so close. I'm aggregating vital, time-sensitive data, and your perpetual motion is distracting.
Hope you appreciated how I bit my tongue back there with the abbot. Didn't want things to come to blows with civilians in the crossfire. Full of excuses for the attack, wasn't he? Could be that he's sincere. Or could be that he has his hands so full with keeping his community from falling apart that he missed a memo or two. Either way, I'm willing to stay my hand until we know the truth. If it were my folk buried under the rubble, if Ortiz was among them, I'd want to know for certain before acting. Besides, ain't nobody around here better suited for investigating than we are. I prefer doing my shooting after asking all the pertinent questions, Commander. While we're at it playing detective, we need to scope out opportunity. If there are any survivors, we ought to help, however we're able. I can only hope they had warning enough to run for cover. If they didn't, well, there's only so much basic training can prepare you for. Once endured a week-long bombardment in a foxhole with only enough rations to last 3 days. Screams went on twice that long. Some of us still ain't fully recovered. We should move on, unless you got something for me?
Can't talk. Calculating an inverse complex sine function in my head.
Have you beheld that new rifle up at the monastery? The Oracle?
The one Wiley designed, right? Uses a tracking algorithm, never misses. Sounds ambitious, even for him.
I'd give my tenure for an hour alone with it and a mantisaur at 2 clicks.
We need to help the folk at Opportunity, Commander. Void the Abbot. He's more concerned with exonerating his own than with making things right.
My time is yours, for now. Exemplary. Our scienticians reported they were most impressed with the thoroughness of your inquiry. The displaced must deeply appreciate your careful consideration. And me, by proxy as well, as your ardent and industrious facilitator. Go speak with the voice of the displaced. I will meet you there shortly, and finally, we can bring this to a close.
What happened to this place? Law. Matriarch's Mercy is no safer than the trenches.
Look on the bright side. I predict that the worst is behind us.
Ah.
Oh. Administrant Agrawal. Here to finally hash this out, are you? Thought this day would never come.
Yes, well, our esteemed outsider here has agreed to thoroughly appraise our situation, in the hope that we may finally close the book on the exclusion zone once and for all.
They say you asked around. Listen to folks. That's a good start, at least. Well, we tried to work things out on our own. Look where that got us.
Mediator, I leave the fate of the exclusion zone in your capable hands. Speak on, then.
Did he also happen to mention they were needlessly oblique and vague?
Quite right. Rollo's co-occupant might have also supported our warnings, had he heeded them.
I don't know. You ask me, when it comes to these order predictions, there's a lot of room between a probable and definite outcome. You mean that missionary type who's always talking at everybody instead of to them?
Her mission is to uplift and enlighten.
She's indoctrinating, not helping us. Can't you see the difference?
Point taken.
You actually got the Provisioner to give you the time of day. Huh.
Ah, yes. I sometimes forget Provisioner Plotnik is also assigned to minding the displaced's needs. Her role is largely proactive, while mine is reactive.
Fair enough. The Order does keep us refugees fed and plenty, medicated. To give credit, as I do with blame, where it's due. I'm all ears, Mediator.
The what now?
When grievances between the displaced approach fisticuffs, we hire Sub-Rosa hooligans to duke things out for us.
That is unquantifiably absurd. And I don't see how moving into the exclusion zone will help. The fault here is my own. I see now that the displaced require guidance steeped in logic and reason. Collapsed. But we built Matriarch's Mercy to optimize comfort and safety.
I'm guessing you're saying this wasn't an official structure, more of a hastily assembled, precariously built shanty. People are struggling to make do with what they have. If we had the exclusion zone, this wouldn't be a problem.
I'm aghast these structures weren't built following established Order construction guidelines. I understand he is rather short-handed.
Yeah. Someone should get right on that, huh? Anyhow, what was the good doctor's diagnosis?
Do you find this concession acceptable?
I'm not convinced. Resources are one thing. We still need the exclusion zone.
By my calculations, you've explored this topic from every conceivable angle. Admirable work, Mediator. What is your decision?
Finally understand what we're dealing with, huh? For every problem, there's an obtuse, indirect solution.
Regardless of your misgivings, I ask that you follow your reason.
Shit. Very well, administrant. You win. I'll honor the terms of the mediation. Let's hope your math was right.
Have faith. Or, if not faith, reason. We can still work together to improve conditions around Matriarch's Mercy. Your reward, mediator, with my thanks. I now consider the matter decisively closed.
You take this prediction business pretty seriously, don't you?
What happened to this place? Law. Matriarch's Mercy is no safer
Yes.
than the trenches.
I tell you, I, for one, will rest easier with the exclusion zone
that
empty.
the worst is behind us. The grand plan is the predetermined order to the entire universe. Do you believe Arcadia shall ever return to how it was?
I wish.
Who would make a bomb with a Zeranium payload? That's madness! Do you know the value of Zeranium on the open market? This is quite the whodunit.